In the previous video, we discussed the strawman argument, which is a sneaky tactic where you misrepresent your opponent's position or claim or argument, and you put forth a much weaker version of it, and then you attack it and defeat it, and then you claim victory. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it somewhere. Just watch it when you get the chance. But today, we're doing the opposite of the strawman, the steel man. Well, technically, it's not really steel, but anyways, the steel man. The man of steel. You might be wondering, what is the steel man? Allow me to explain. Sometimes when you're having a discussion or a dialogue or a debate with someone, they put forth their claim, their position, their argument. And a lot of the times, they put it in a sloppy way. They're not very accurate, they're not very precise, it might be a bit vague, maybe not very articulate, maybe they throw in a weak assumption while setting up their case. So steel manning is when you take that sloppy version of the argument and you build the best possible version of the argument, the strongest possible version of the argument. It's like you're helping them out. You're fortifying their position. You are reframing it in its strongest possible version. So you craft the strongest possible version of that position or claim or argument, and then you go ahead and you address it. You wrestle with it. You grapple with it. You try to refute it. You try to deal with it. So let's give an example. Your friend says, man, marriage is stupid. It's a bad idea. Now, normally you will jump on him. What do you mean it's stupid? What do you mean it's a bad idea? Throughout the ages, centuries and centuries and centuries of people, hundreds of millions of people are getting married, even to this day.
To this day! To this day! Oh, shit.
This is how society works. This is what everyone across all cultures does. What do you mean? What do you mean? Marriage is a bad idea or it's stupid. If we follow what you're saying, the human race will be extinct. You're silly, you're stupid. Dude, just stop saying stupid stuff. No, don't do that. Instead, try steel manning his argument. Let's try to reframe his argument in the most positive light. Give the strongest case. Let's try to help him out. Let's argue on his behalf. You can say, you might be onto something here. Marriage is indeed risky and costly, like even financially. You have to live in a bigger house, you have to buy more food, you have to put your kids through schools, buy diapers. I heard diapers are very expensive. You have to spend money on your wife and kids. So it is financially costly. You have a restriction of freedom. You're not like the good old bachelor days. Now you have commitments. You cannot move around or change cities as easily as before. Most marriages don't end very well. Like in the United States, roughly 50% of marriages end in divorce, according to some statistics. And the ones that don't divorce, doesn't mean they're happy. A lot of them are miserable, but they just hang in there. And then if you divorce, especially in the United States, let's take that as an example, typically she can take half your assets, half your money. That's also a big problem. You hear about all these billionaires and celebrities who have lost half their fortune due to a divorce. There's a lot of infidelity in marriage. A lot of people cheat on each other. In some extreme cases, your child is not even your child. It's the pool boy's child or the pizza delivery guy's child.
I mean, like,
You'll give me the pizza?
do we have a deal?
See, I told you eating pizza is a bad idea for more than one reason. So, somebody's wife probably tried to kill him. Okay, so you see what we did here? We steel-manned his argument. His version of the argument was weak. It's stupid, it's a bad idea. We kind of repurposed his argument and made it more respectable, made it more legitimate. And I even went further and I provided supporting evidence for his argument. So I went the extra mile as well. So now I can deal with that strong version of the argument. So you might be wondering, why on earth would I want to make my opponent's argument stronger? I'm trying to beat him. Well, there are several reasons why you might want to engage in steel manning. Number one, if you are going to debate someone, you better be prepared for the strongest version of their argument. It's like when a boxer has an important fight coming up, he would normally hire sparring partners so he can have practice fights with them, sparring sessions with them, so he can be ready for the main fight. Now imagine his sparring partners are all weak, pathetic and weak.
You're weak. pathetic and weak.
And small, with poor footwork. Then when he gets in the ring with the real opponent, he's going to be surprised. He's going to be overwhelmed because he's not prepared for it. So it's best if he spars with top opponents so that he'll be prepared for the real fight. The same thing goes for preparing for standardized tests like the SAT. Some SAT preparation books give you those sample tests so you can practice for the real exam. And sometimes they have very easy practice tests. So you're solving them and you feel very confident. And then on the day of the exam, you go in and you have the shock of your life. You see how difficult the real exam is and you freak out. You weren't prepared for it. What you should have been doing is taking very tough practice exams so that when you go and take the real exam, you're not shocked. And by the way, even if it's not really a debate, even if you're just having a conversation with your friend or your partner, steel manning also makes sense. When you steel man their argument, they feel heard. They feel that you understand where they're coming from. So it makes the discussion smoother and friendlier. And later, when you refute that steel man version of their argument, they are more likely to be persuaded. They think, oh, he really knows my position almost better than I do. And he still was able to refute it. So he might be right. Maybe I should listen to him. It gives you more credibility. So it makes the discussion friendlier and more constructive and also makes you more persuasive. Another reason for steel manning is to arrive at the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The English philosopher John Stuart Mill once wrote, "He who only knows his own side of the case knows little of that." So what that means is, if you don't really understand your opponent's side, you don't really understand your side. You don't have a full view of the issue. So you have no basis for preferring your own opinion. The opposing opinion might be even better, but you don't know it. Think about it for a second. If you don't know your opponent's argument, how can you be so sure that you are right? Maybe their opinion is better than yours. You have no grounds, no basis for preferring your own viewpoint to the opposition. The opposition might have a much better opinion, one that is supported with solid evidence. So if you don't know that, on what basis are you holding your opinion strongly? You hear people saying, I am entitled to my own opinions. No, you're not. You're not entitled to your opinions. You are entitled to your informed opinions. So consider the opposing view, build a steel man for the opposition, and then try to refute it. If you refute it, then you can be more confident of your own viewpoint. You say, hey, even the strongest version of the opposing view, I was able to refute, I was able to defeat. That gives you more confidence in your viewpoint. When I see someone who holds an opinion after steel manning the opposition, I respect him. Even if I don't agree with him, I will say, hey, at least he went through the trouble of considering the opposition and he grappled with the strongest version of his opponent's position, and then he made up his mind. I can respect a person like that, even if I disagree with him. Also notice that after steel manning your opponent's position, even if you defeat it, and even if you still don't agree with it, there's an added benefit here. Now you understand the people on the other side much better. You're no longer thinking, how can these people believe those things? These people are a bunch of idiots. These people are stupid. I can't believe how people can be so dumb. You no longer look down upon your opponents. You no longer have hostility for people with opposing viewpoints. It makes you a more tolerant and more open-minded person. Even if you don't agree with them, you can still understand where they're coming from. It makes you more open and wiser. In some cases, when you steel man your opponent's argument, you might realize their argument actually makes more sense than mine. Their position is more reasonable than mine. And you end up adopting their opinion. There's no shame in that. Don't think that I have lost in this situation. No, you won. You won. You arrived at the truth. So upon considering the strong version of your opponent's viewpoint, if it's more convincing than yours, by all means, you can adopt it. There's no shame in that.
Shame.
In fact, if you do that, it tells me that you are mature, it tells me that you're open-minded, and it tells me that you have humility, you're a humble person. And I really respect that. So from now on, get in the habit of steel manning your opponent's argument. And get in the habit of liking and sharing my videos. See you next time. Another reason. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. It's like you'll have... So you can say something like, Can I do this? So why should we steel man the opponent's argument? So why should we steal people's money? What?